All right, everyone, John Carish here with another Cycles mobile service video. This one, the lighting inside of a Ford Transit. So, as you can see, we got just our basic halogen stuff right there. There's two there. There's supposed to be two in the back. Only one of the bulbs works. We got, well, this will show you this. So, there's one of the cabin ones. They're pretty unimpressive lights. I think you can get an LED upgrade for these, but you're also still stuck on a 30-minute like convenience timer that goes in these. So pretty much like once you open and shut the door, even if you leave the door open 30 minutes, the light cuts out. Good for not draining your battery at night, really bad for working on stuff inside a van. So what we needed is better lights, and that's what we have now. We go right here, our switch. Okay. Whoop, up we go. So now we have real lights in here. These aren't super impressive during the daytime, although they do look kind of cool, like you got holes cut in the roof going up to the sky. But anyway, at night they are super bright, really easy to work in here. Actually, when I only had these like first two out of 12 pieces, pretty bright inside of here, definitely workable. So if you don't add something wired in the van like this, you're stuck with something like this thing. Like, it's okay. You know, it's just a little magnetic AA, AAA battery powered light from Harbor Freight. I've got this just in here as an extra that I can move around as needed for extra light. Rarely need it now though. So as far as how do you make all this stuff work? One thing that's important here is you can see here the dimmer switch, 12 volt, okay? So power coming from the van batteries is gonna be 12 volt. If you want to do 110 like in a house, you'd have to have some sort of power inverter or something different. Decided this would be easier. So anyway, what we have is in Transits, there's a battery under the driver's seat and one cranking battery under the hood. This one's just power stuff like this. And so to get to that thing, I left the cover off for right now. If you mess around with the seat, you got a couple bolts like there. There's one more back there, and then there's a couple like slide out plastic pieces that you can shove around to get the covers out. I was able to get the access to the battery within maybe just a few minutes inside this. I haven't put the stuff back on yet because I'm still tidying up wiring a little bit through here. But accessing the battery is pretty simple. So we just did a little ring terminal off the positive and ran that all the way up here into the dimmer switch. As you can see, the ground can pretty much go anywhere. We did it to one of these M8 bolts that goes directly into the frame. So happy with that. Decided to do a dimmer instead of just a straight on-off switch, just for, you know, customize the amount of light a little bit better as you need to. The actual LEDs we got from superbrightleds.com, although you could probably get them anywhere. So to cover all this inside here, this is they sell these in like 5-meter strips, just continuous strips, which is like 16.5 feet, I think. And we got the high density ones, and with the high density ones, it's just a little bit more I'll turn it off for a second so you can see that part of it. So if you pull back these little covers right here, so the high densities just have your little white diodes closer together. It also makes the little copper pieces a little bit harder to trim and get to. And you can also see my one pigtail clip right here. I only use one of these because they're kind of awful. They don't work very well, and they've got like really thin gauge. You can see that white wire right there, how thin gauge that is compared to these. So the white one's like a 24, which is like strands of hair once you take off the insulation. So they had a really hard time getting those to work in here, so gave up on that. And what we ended up doing was just doing 18 gauge wire all the way back, and I'll uncover this one too. Pretty much on this, so what I did was a long way around this, but soldered everything and then covered it with liquid tape, which has been really nice. And you can also see the aluminum channels here. Those are bonded to the ceiling with 3M VHB, which does not come off quick. So you better really want this stuff on your ceiling before you put it in. And what I did on the, made a mistake here and bonded them first. On the others, I soldered everything, ran it all together, tested it, then bonded it. And as far as the channels, these came in like 1 meter, 5 1-meter pieces, which took a ton of like like a little math project to figure out how to cut them so each one of them would go all the way back and come out with like 3 even rows of stuff. And one thing I like here is we ran the wires like above these channels. That part's pretty easy. The middle one's kind of tricky. You don't have those, you got holes. So what I've got here, I soldered them there, and inside of here, you can't really see them. There's a butt connectors, which look similar to these, joining them. I still need to heat shrink these, haven't done it yet. I also used stick-on wire guides up here. I had someone tell me, who I trust, that I probably should have used magnets, which I can always go back and do that again. But as far as the wiring from the dimmer, it comes out with your positive and negative, and then what you got going each time here is you'll pretty much have 1 set of wires coming in and then 2 coming out. 1 set goes to a light and the other one comes down to the next set. So then you get the same thing. 1 set comes in, 2 sets come out. 1 to a light and 1 to your final right on here. And then, so those would be in a parallel, and then each segment coming back is in series. That's just to prevent too much like voltage drop compared to if you ran them just like down, around, and then back down the other side. You might have some issues there. So that, also the Kelvin rating. We did 6,500 Kelvin, which is like kind of how blue or how intensely white the light is. If you're doing, like, for a good example, like the halogen there, that'd be a much lower Kelvin number. These are 6,500 K, which is probably one of the highest ones you can get, I think. If you're gonna do these in your house or like an RV in a living area, you wouldn't want that much. It'd probably seem really harsh, but as far as like doing mechanic work, I think that's the way to go. So another thing I'll mention here as far as the actual process to make it work right, if you're starting to do the wiring here, especially this stuff where it's daisy chained off of each other, use a multimeter and test each segment as you go. That way you're not getting to the very end section if stuff doesn't work and you're left thinking, well crap, what do I have to go back and redo? So, and the stuff I'm mentioning here that seems like smart, a lot of it is just probably stuff that you already know because you know more about wiring than me, or I you know, I messed some of it up and had to redo it, so now I know. But anyway, that's fuses. I've got an inline fuse right by the battery under the seat. I started with a 5 amp and was blowing it, so I went to 7.5, and that one's been holding pretty good. So as far as all this, I wouldn't really change much about what I did. I don't think. I'm pretty happy with it. It works well at night, and in daytime it's nice to have the extra light too. I probably would skip the stupid little pigtail connectors altogether that crimp onto the end of the LEDs. The contacts are tiny. The other thing would be go ahead and solder them from the start. But that's pretty much it. Like, this wasn't super expensive, and it's worked well. So anyway, that is LED lights inside your van. And again, like the aluminum channel and diffuser things right there, those aren't too expensive, and they are a must. Otherwise, like, I'll show you one here. So if you, it gets just super harsh as you uncover that, so that helps a lot with the light in here. But anyway, that is it.